The stars looked different from the observation deck of the EAS horizon. Fleet Admiral John Miller stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching as the ship's Alcubierre warp drive bent space around them. The year was 2157, and humanity had finally achieved true interstellar travel. This mission would mark humanity's first official contact with the Galactic Confederation. "Nervous, Admiral?" asked Dr. Lisa Peterson as she joined him by the large viewport. Her dark hair was pulled back in a practical bun, and her eyes reflected the strange light patterns of warp travel. "I'd be a fool not to be," Miller replied. "We're making history today, Doctor. First humans to meet an organized galactic community." Lisa nodded. As the mission's chief xenobiologist and linguist, she had spent years preparing for this moment. "The translation matrices are ready. If their communication systems are anything like the data packets we intercepted, we should be able to understand each other." The Horizon was Earth's most advanced vessel, flanked by two smaller escort ships, the Venture and the Pathfinder. Together they carried Earth's diplomatic mission, scientists, diplomats, and a military contingent that Miller had insisted upon. Earth's governments had finally united after decades of climate crises and resource wars. The discovery of alien signals had been the final push humanity needed to work together. Miller's comm unit beeped. "Admiral, we're approaching the coordinates. Preparing to exit warp," reported Captain Frank Rogers from the bridge. "On my way," Miller said. He gave Lisa a nod, and they made their way to the bridge. The bridge hummed with activity as the crew prepared for the historic moment. The main screen showed the swirling energies of warp space. "Exit in 54321, announced the navigation officer. The view on the screen shifted dramatically. Normal space returned, and before them hung a massive structure, a wheel-shaped space station with spokes extending from a central hub. Around it, ships of various designs moved in organized patterns. "My God," whispered someone on the bridge. "Open channels," Miller ordered. "Standard greeting package." Communications Officer Diane Brown nodded. "Transmitting now, sir." Minutes passed in tense silence. Then the main screen flickered, revealing two alien beings. One resembled a humanoid bird with iridescent feathers and sharp eyes. The other was reptilian, with scaled skin and a long, narrow face. "Greetings, representatives of Earth," the avian being said, its beak moving strangely with the words. "I am High Commissioner Traz of the Krell. Beside me is Supreme Counselor Vex of the Vorax. We welcome you to Confederation space." Miller stepped forward. "I am Fleet Admiral John Miller of Earth. We come in peace and friendship, seeking to establish diplomatic relations with your Confederation." Lisa stood nearby, monitoring her translation equipment. The words seemed to be converting correctly, but something in the alien's posture made her uneasy. "Your arrival has been anticipated," said Counselor Vex, the reptilian. "We have observed your world for some time. Your achievement of warp capability qualifies you for formal introduction to the galactic community." "We are honored," Miller replied. "We have prepared detailed information about our world and people, and look forward to learning about yours." "Excellent," said Commissioner Traz. "Please dock your vessels at the designated ports. We have prepared appropriate accommodations for your species." As the communication ended, Lisa approached Miller. "Admiral, did you notice anything unusual about their body language?" Miller frowned. "You caught that too? They seemed restrained. Almost calculating," Lisa added. "I'd advise caution." Miller nodded. "Always, Doctor." Captain Rogers approached with care, maintained defensive systems on standby. The Earth ships were guided to docking ports on the massive station. As Miller led the diplomatic team aboard, he couldn't shake a feeling of unease. The station corridors were clearly designed for multiple species, with varying ceiling heights and atmospheric sections. They were escorted to a large chamber where representatives of 7 different alien species waited. Besides the avian Krell and reptilian Vorax, there were crystalline beings, massive entities that seemed partly gaseous, small gray humanoids, tentacled creatures floating in liquid tanks, and tall, slender beings with 4 arms. The 7 founding species of the Galactic Confederation, announced an automated translator. You will now present your credentials and petition for observer status. Miller stepped forward with Earth's chief diplomat, Helen Martinez. We come not as petitioners, but as equals seeking mutual exchange and cooperation. A noticeable stiffening went through the alien representatives. That is unusual, said the Vorax counselor. Most new species understand their place in the natural order. Helen maintained her diplomatic smile. Perhaps we can discuss these protocols. On Earth, we value equality in our diplomatic relations. Fascinating, said one of the crystalline beings, its voice creating harmonic tones. The reports of human unpredictability appear accurate. The formal meeting proceeded, with each side sharing carefully prepared information. When the subject turned to military matters, however, the atmosphere chilled further. Of course, all member species place their defensive capabilities under Confederation authority, stated High Commissioner Traz. This is non-negotiable for security reasons. Miller exchanged glances with Helen. I'm afraid Earth cannot agree to surrender its defensive sovereignty. We're happy to coordinate and cooperate, but our fleet remains under Earth command. The room went silent. The 7 representatives communicated among themselves in ways the humans couldn't understand. Subtle movements, light patterns, and frequencies beyond human perception. Finally, the Vorax counselor spoke. This is most irregular. Perhaps you misunderstand the nature of the Confederation. We are not a loose alliance of equals. There is order and hierarchy. Lisa whispered to Miller. Something's wrong. The translation matrix is picking up subharmonics in their speech. There's another conversation happening beneath their words. Before Miller could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. What's happening? Demanded Helen. A regrettable necessity, said the Vorax counselor, standing. Your species has been evaluated and found dangerously unpredictable. Preliminary containment measures are being implemented. The main view screen activated, showing Earth's escort vessels under attack by Confederation ships. The Pathfinder exploded in a ball of fire as multiple energy beams struck it simultaneously. This is an act of war, Miller shouted. We came in peace. Peace requires order, replied the Krell commissioner. Your species must learn its place. Miller slapped his emergency beacon. All personnel return to the horizon immediately. This is not a drill. Chaos erupted as the human delegation fled toward their ship. Confederation security forces attempted to block their path, but the Earth Marines responded with surprising effectiveness. They didn't expect us to fight back, Lisa realized as they ran. They're used to species that surrender immediately. Miller nodded grimly. That's their first mistake. They barely made it back to the horizon as the second escort ship, the Venture, was destroyed. Captain Rogers had the engines ready, and the moment the airlock sealed, he executed an emergency warp jump. The ship shuddered violently as enemy fire struck them just as they entered warp space. Damage reports flooded in, half the crew lost, multiple systems failing, but they were alive and moving. Admiral Miller stood in the damaged bridge, face illuminated by emergency lighting. Set course for Earth. Maximum speed. He looked at the survivors of his diplomatic team. We need to warn them. The galaxy isn't what we hoped. Lisa Peterson stared at the swirling patterns of warp space on the view screen. They thought we would surrender our independence without question. They don't understand humans at all. They'll learn, Miller said quietly, and they'll regret this day. As the damaged horizon limped back toward Earth, carrying news of humanity's violent introduction to galactic politics, none of them could know they had just sparked what would later be called the Liberation War, a conflict that would ultimately change the power structure of the entire galaxy. 6 months had passed since the EAS horizon limped back to Earth with its grim news. The once peaceful shipyards orbiting Earth now buzzed with military activity. Construction drones swarmed around massive warships taking shape against the blackness of space. Earth was preparing for war. Chief Defense Strategist Olivia Warren stood in the command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, watching the holographic display of the solar system. Red markers indicated the defensive installations being built around Jupiter's moons, Mars, and Earth itself. Not enough, she muttered, brushing a strand of gray hair from her face. We need more time. Time is the one thing we don't have, said Lieutenant Commander Sam Davies as he entered the room. At 35, Davies had already earned a reputation as a brilliant tactician during the resource wars. Now he had been promoted to head of fleet operations, a job he never wanted. The latest intelligence? Olivia asked, not looking away from the display. Dr. Russell's team has made progress reverse engineering the Confederation technology we salvaged from the horizon. The good news is, their weapons aren't as advanced as we feared. The bad news is they have a lot more ships than we do. Olivia nodded. And Admiral Miller? Still recovering from his injuries, but he insists on being part of the planning committee. He knows the enemy better than anyone else. The door slid open again, and Intelligence Officer Kate Murphy entered, her face grim. You need to see this, she said, transferring data to the main display. The hologram shifted to show intercepted Confederation communications, translated into English. The images showed massive fleet movements. They're mobilizing, Kate explained. Our deep space probes detected quantum communication bursts between their systems. They're sending an armada to Earth. Olivia's face hardened. How long? 3 months, maybe less. The room fell silent. Humanity had hoped for more time. There's something else, Kate added. We've been contacted by representatives of other species. This caught everyone's attention. It seems not everyone in the galaxy is happy with the Confederation. Several smaller species have reached out in secret. They refer to themselves as the subjugated. Sam leaned forward. Potential allies? Perhaps. They fear the Confederation too much to fight openly, but they're willing to share information. According to them, the 7 founding species have dominated the galaxy for thousands of years. They classify other intelligent life into categories. We've been labeled a wild species, unpredictable and dangerous. They're not wrong about that last part, Olivia said with a grim smile. In another part of the complex, Dr. Kevin Russell worked feverishly in his laboratory. Pieces of alien technology lay scattered across workbenches. He had barely slept in days, fueled by determination and coffee. Try it now, he told his assistant. The young engineer activated the device. A shimmering field appeared around a test object. When they fired a standard energy weapon at it, the shield held. It works, the assistant exclaimed. Kevin nodded, exhausted, but pleased. Get this to production immediately. Every ship in the fleet needs these shields yesterday. Meanwhile, aboard the newly commissioned EAS Defiance, Admiral John Miller examined the ship's bridge. His left arm was now a prosthetic, a reminder of the attack that had nearly killed him. The Defiance was Earth's new flagship, built with everything they had learned from the Confederation encounter. She's ready, sir, said the ship's captain, a young woman named Judy Chen. The fastest ship we've ever built. Let's hope it's fast enough, Miller replied. Status of the fleet? 27 combat-ready vessels. Another 15 will be operational within 2 months. Miller nodded. It would have to be enough. Back on Earth, the United Earth Council met in emergency session. Representatives from all nations gathered to hear the latest reports. The outer system defenses are in place, Olivia Warren explained to the council. Jupiter's moons now host our forward bases. Mars has been fortified. But make no mistake, this will be the fight of our lives. Council President Carlos Reyes spoke up. What about evacuation plans? In progress, but there's nowhere to run that they can't follow. Our best chance is to stand and fight. Not everyone agreed with this assessment. Some council members argued for attempting further diplomatic contact. Others suggested surrender might save more lives. Sam Davies stepped forward. I've studied the Confederation tactics from the data we salvaged. They expect submission. They've never faced a species that fought back effectively. That's our advantage. How is being outnumbered and outgunned an advantage? Asked one skeptical council member. Because they don't understand us, Sam explained. They think all species follow predictable patterns, humans don't. We adapt, we improvise, we overcome, and most importantly, We're stubborn as hell." A ripple of laughter broke the tension in the room. 2 months later, the warning came from the deep space monitoring stations. The Confederation Armada had entered the solar system. Over 200 ships of various sizes, led by a massive dreadnought. Enter the war room. Olivia, Sam, and Admiral Miller gathered with Earth's military leadership to enact their plan. "They've bypassed the outer system defenses," reported Kate Murphy. "Just as we predicted. They think our technology is too primitive to pose a threat." Miller nodded. "Spring the trap." Throughout the Jupiter system, hidden installations powered up. Automated defense platforms emerged from the moon's surfaces. The Confederation fleet, focused on reaching Earth, didn't notice until the first volley of missiles struck their rear ships. "They're breaking formation," Sam observed from the tactical display on the Defiance. The Earth fleet waited in Mars orbit, hidden from the enemy's sensors by new stealth technology developed by Dr. Russell. "All ships prepare to engage," Miller ordered. "Remember your training. They expect us to fight conventionally. Don't." As the Confederation fleet regrouped and continued toward Mars, Supreme Commander Xylos of the Vorax watched with contempt from the bridge of his dreadnought. "These humans are more resourceful than expected," he remarked to his subordinate. "But their attacks are merely delaying the inevitable." "Should we send ships back to deal with the Jupiter defenses?" asked his second-in-command. "No. They're merely automated weapons pushed forward to Earth. Once their homeworld is threatened, they will surrender, like all the others." What the Confederation forces didn't realize was that Earth had one more surprise, waiting. As their fleet approached Mars, the planet's polar ice cap suddenly erupted with activity. Massive electromagnetic pulses shot forth, disrupting the Confederation's quantum communications network. When the Earth fleet emerged from hiding, they attacked with unexpected ferocity. Smaller, nimbler human ships darted between the larger, alien vessels, targeting engines and weapons systems with precision. In the chaos, Lieutenant Commander Davies led a strike team directly toward the Confederation flagship. The Defiance and its escort vessels punched through the disorganized alien formation. "They're adjusting," Miller warned over the comm. "Hit them harder." The Battle of Mars lasted 14 hours. When it ended, a third of the Confederation fleet had been destroyed. The rest, including the damaged flagship, retreated toward the outer system. On the Defiance's bridge, the crew erupted in cheers. They had achieved the impossible, humanity's first victory against an overwhelmingly superior force. Admiral Miller didn't join the celebration. He stared at the tactical display showing the retreating enemy ships. "They'll be back," he said quietly to Sam Davies. "With more ships and better tactics." Sam nodded. "Yes, sir. But next time we'll be stronger too." On Earth, news of the victory spread like wildfire. For the first time since learning they weren't alone in the galaxy, humans felt hope. They had proven they wouldn't be easy prey. The fight had just begun. But an important message had been sent to the Confederation. Humanity would not surrender. The victory at Mars changed everything. 2 weeks after the battle, Sam Davies stood in a room that had once been unimaginable, an interrogation chamber containing a living Confederation officer. The alien, a Vorax named Telvis, sat across from him. Its scaled skin glistened under the lights and vertical pupils narrowed as it studied the human. "You must understand," Telvis said in a rasping voice, translated by the device Dr. Lisa Peterson had developed. "The 7 species have ruled the galaxy for over 12,000 years. Your resistance is unprecedented." "Why attack us?" Sam asked. "We came in peace." The Vorax made a gesture that the translation matrix identified as amusement. "Peace is not the natural order. All species must find their place in the hierarchy. And where is humanity's place? Your kind was meant to be managed, your resources harvested, your populations controlled. This is the way it has always been." Sam leaned forward. "Not anymore." In another part of the complex, Lisa Peterson made a breakthrough. She had been working non-stop with the communication systems captured from Confederation vessels. "I've got it," she told Admiral Miller, who had come to check on her progress. "I can tap into their subspace communication network We can listen to everything they say. Miller's eyes widened. Can we send messages too? Even better, Lisa said with a smile. I can reach the subjugated species directly, bypassing Confederation sensors. We can coordinate with potential allies across Confederation space. This discovery would prove crucial in the weeks that followed. While Earth continued to build its defenses, Lisa established contact with dozens of oppressed civilizations. Many had suffered under Confederation rule for centuries. One such species, the Nelvari, provided valuable intelligence. The Confederation Council is in disarray, their representative told Lisa through the secure channel. Your victory has inspired others to question their authority. There are protests on 17 worlds. Meanwhile, Professor Alan Wright, a physicist from the Australian Science Collective, approached Olivia Warren with a radical idea. We've been studying the dark energy pattern disruptions caused by Confederation drives, he explained, pointing to complex equations on his tablet. I believe we can develop a weapon that targets their propulsion system specifically. Olivia raised an eyebrow. How quickly? With proper resources, 1 month. You have 2 weeks, she replied. The Confederation was not idle during this time. Supreme Commander Xylos, demoted after his failure at Mars, had been replaced by War Master Draz of the Krell. Draz understood that humans were unlike previous enemies. We must approach this differently, Draz told the High Council. These humans are resourceful and unpredictable. They do not follow standard combat doctrines. What do you propose? Asked the oldest council member, a crystalline being named Zoe. A decisive strike. Gather our forces from across the sector. Overwhelm them with numbers they cannot match. As the Confederation marshaled its forces, Earth prepared for the next phase of the war. The United Earth Fleet now counted 46 combat vessels, including the newly completed supercarrier Invictus. Admiral Miller called a meeting of all ship captains. Among them was Captain Judy Chen of the Defiance, who had distinguished herself during the Battle of Mars. Intelligence suggests the Confederation is calling in reinforcements, Miller explained. They'll return with a force at least 3 times what we faced before. Can we hold against those numbers? Asked one captain. We won't have to, Sam Davies replied. He had recently been promoted to Fleet Admiral after his tactical brilliance at Mars. We're taking the fight to them. The room erupted in surprised murmurs. Sam activated a holographic display showing a star system 12 light-years from Earth. This is Proxima Centauri, specifically this moon orbiting the 4th planet. It contains a major Confederation supply depot. Our intelligence from the subjugated species confirms it's lightly defended as they've pulled ships for the attack on Earth. You want to attack their supply lines, Miller said with approval. Exactly, and not just there. We've identified 6 key targets across nearby systems. We hit them simultaneously, forced them to divide their forces. It was a bold plan. Earth would send 6 battle groups to strike Confederation assets while maintaining a defensive force in the solar system. The risks were enormous, but so were the potential gains. There's more, Lisa Peterson added. We've been in contact with representatives from the Solarian Republic. This was news to everyone. The Solarians were a mysterious species that had remained neutral in galactic politics, keeping to themselves in a cluster of stars at the edge of Confederation space. They've observed our conflict with interest, Lisa continued. While they won't commit to military support yet, they've offered to share advanced technology with us. Why would they help? Asked Captain Chen. They've had their own conflicts with the Confederation in the past. They see us as a potential counterbalance to Confederation power. As preparations for the counteroffensive continued, Professor Wright's team worked around the clock. The dark energy disruptors were complex weapons, requiring precise calibration. The theory is sound, Wright told Dr. Kevin Russell as they tested a prototype. The weapon creates a field that prevents their warp drives from forming properly. Any ship caught in it will be stranded in normal space. And the range? Kevin asked. 2 light minutes at full power. 2 days before the Earth fleet was scheduled to depart, the long-range sensors detected movement. The Confederation forces had returned earlier than expected. This time, they came not just from one direction, but from 3. converging on the solar system. They're trying to split our defenses, Admiral Davies observed from the command center on Earth. Clever. Do we recall our attack groups? Olivia Warren asked. Davies studied the tactical display for a long moment. Then he shook his head. No, we stick to the plan. The defense grid around Jupiter and Mars will slow them down. Our battle groups launch as scheduled. As the Earth fleet prepared to depart, Admiral Miller addressed the crews from the bridge of the Invictus. This is the moment that will define humanity's place in the galaxy, he said, his voice transmitted to every ship. The Confederation believes we will cower before their superior numbers. They believe we will break under pressure. They are wrong. Humanity has faced extinction before, from nature, from ourselves, from the void. Each time we have adapted and survived. Today we do more than survive. Today we show the galaxy that freedom cannot be crushed by tyranny. Across the fleet, crews cheered. The Earth battle groups launched, their warp drives creating brief flashes of light as they disappeared into the darkness. Hours later, the Confederation Armada entered the solar system, their massive dreadnoughts leading the way. War Master Draz watched with satisfaction as his forces approached Mars. Begin the bombardment, he ordered. Destroy their defenses. But, as the Confederation ships moved into position, something unexpected happened. The dark energy disruptors secretly placed throughout the orbital defense grid activated. Suddenly, dozens of Confederation vessels found themselves unable to maneuver at faster-than-light speeds. What is happening? Draz demanded as alarm. Signals filled his command center. Unknown energy field, his science officer replied. It's disrupting our drive systems. Before they could adapt, Earth's defensive forces struck. Smaller, faster human ships darted between the stranded Confederation vessels, targeting critical systems with precision. Simultaneously, across 6 Confederation systems, Earth's battle, groups launched surprise attacks against military installations and supply depots. The carefully coordinated strikes threw the entire Confederation military network into chaos. On a secure channel, Admiral Davies received reports from each battle group. Supply depot at Proxima Centauri destroyed, reported Captain Chen. Minimal. Casualties on our side. Similar messages came from the other targets. The counterattack was working better than anyone had dared hope. As the Battle of Earth raged in the solar system, a message spread through the Confederation's communications network, a message that Earth's intelligence team had carefully planted. It showed images of Earth ships freeing subjugated species from Confederation control posts. It carried a simple statement: the age of oppression is ending. Throughout Confederation space, the message reached billions of beings who had lived under the control of the 7 species. For the first time in countless generations, they dared to hope for freedom. News of Earth's successful counterattacks spread across the galaxy like wildfire. On 17 worlds, populations that had been subjugated for centuries began to resist their Confederation overseers. The carefully constructed hierarchy that had kept the 7 founding species in power for millennia showed its first real cracks. In the Grand Council chamber on the Confederation capital world, the atmosphere was tense. Representatives of the 7 species gathered in emergency session. The Vorax counselor pounded his scaled fist on the table. This is unprecedented. 3 major supply depots destroyed, 5 military outposts captured, communication relays compromised. The crystalline being known as Elder Zoe glowed with a deep red hue, indicating extreme concern. More troubling is the effect on our subject worlds. Reports of unrest are increasing. The humans have lit a spark that could become a flame. Then we must extinguish it, said the Krell representative, feathers bristling. Gather every available warship. Crush Earth completely. Our forces are already stretched thin, objected another counselor, and the humans have proven more dangerous than anticipated. Meanwhile, aboard the Earth carrier Invictus, Admiral John Miller met with the representatives of the newly formed Free Worlds Alliance. Species that had once feared to even speak against the Confederation now openly aligned themselves with humanity. A Nelvari delegate, resembling a slender humanoid with Silvery Skin addressed the gathering. For 12,000 years, the 7 species have maintained their rule through fear and division. They convinced each subjugated world that they were alone. You humans have shown us we are not. Admiral Miller nodded. Together, we're stronger than they are. Your knowledge of Confederation systems combined with our tactical innovations gives us an edge. The alliance grew daily. More species joined, bringing ships, technology, and intelligence. Earth's leadership faced a new question. What would victory look like? In the strategy room beneath the Rocky Mountains, Fleet Admiral Sam Davies met with Olivia Warren and the Earth Council. We have a choice to make, Sam explained, gesturing to the galactic map. The Confederation is vulnerable now, but still powerful. Do we push for total victory, or negotiate from our position of strength? Council President Carlos Reyes looked troubled. What would total victory require? Many more lives, Olivia Warren answered bluntly. Ours and theirs. We could potentially bring down the entire Confederation power structure, but at great cost. The debate continued for hours. Some council members argued for pressing the advantage, destroying the Confederation completely. Others advocated for a negotiated peace that would secure Earth's safety and independence. As they deliberated, Dr. Lisa Peterson made another breakthrough. Working with scientists from the Free Worlds Alliance, she had discovered something shocking. The 7 species aren't the original rulers of the galaxy, she explained to Admiral Miller over a secure channel. They overthrew an even older civilization 15,000 years ago. According to records we found in a captured Confederation database, there are ancient species that predate the Confederation. Are any of them still around? Miller asked. We think so. Hidden, watching. The Solarians hinted they have contact with them. This information added a new dimension to Earth's strategy. What if there were even more powerful allies to be found? Admiral Miller took a diplomatic vessel to meet with Solarian representatives in neutral space. The meeting took place aboard a space station at the edge of Solarian territory. Miller was struck by the Solarians themselves, tall, ethereal beings with skin that seemed to shimmer with its own inner light. Your conflict with the Confederation has created opportunities, said the Solarian diplomat, whose name translated as Voice of Distant Stars. Patterns that have been fixed for millennia are now in flux. We seek allies, Miller replied simply. The Solarian made a gesture that might have been amusement. You already have allies, Admiral. What you truly seek is knowledge. About the ancients? The ones who came before the Confederation? The Solarian's eyes widened slightly. You have learned much in a short time. Yes, there are watchers older than the 7 species. They have observed from the shadows, waiting for the right moment to re-emerge. And is now that moment? Perhaps. They have taken note of humanity's resilience. You fight not just for yourselves, but for the freedom of others. This interests them. Miller returned to Earth with promises of Solarian technical assistance and hints of even more powerful allies waiting in the wings. The information energized Earth's military planners. Meanwhile, Professor Alan Wright continued to develop new weapons based on his understanding of dark energy. His latest creation was a defensive shield that could protect entire planets from bombardment. The principle is similar to the disruptors, he explained to a group that included Olivia Warren and Dr. Kevin Russell. But instead of targeting their drives, it creates a field that prevents weapons fire from reaching the surface. Can we deploy it in time? Olivia asked. The first generators are already being installed around Earth. Mars will be next. On the Confederation side, War Master Draz had been replaced after the failure of his offensive. The new Supreme Military Commander was a Vorax general named Cyrax, known for his ruthlessness. The humans must be made an example of, Cyrax told the Confederation Council. I have recalled our forces from the outer territories. Every available ship is being directed to Earth. We will crush them with overwhelming force. And the rebellions on our subject worlds? Asked one counselor. Once Earth falls, the others will lose hope. The natural order will reassert itself. As the Confederation gathered its forces for one massive push, Earth and its allies prepared for the coming storm. The Free Worlds Alliance now included 23 species, each contributing what they could to the defense. Fleet Admiral Davies developed a bold new strategy. Instead of meeting the Confederation Armada at Earth, they would intercept it at Proxima Centauri. The star system had strategic importance as a jumping-off point for any invasion of Earth, and its unique radiation patterns would give the Alliance fleet certain advantages. "We choose the battlefield this time," Davies told his commanders. "Make them fight where we're strongest." The Earth fleet, now reinforced with ships from the Free Worlds Alliance, took up positions around Proxima Centauri. Professor Wright's team worked feverishly to install dark energy disruptors throughout the system. Dr. Russell's advancements in shield technology were implemented across the Allied fleet. 3 days later, the Confederation Armada arrived. Over 400 warships, the largest military force ever assembled in the sector. General Cyrax commanded from the dreadnought Eternal Dominion, a vessel twice the size of Earth's largest carrier. "Pathetic," Cyrax remarked as his sensors detected the Allied fleet. "They are outnumbered 3-1. "The humans have proven resourceful before, General," his second-in-command cautioned. "Previous commanders underestimated them." "I do not. All ships advance in battle formation. No mercy. No survivors." As the massive Confederation fleet moved into the Proxima Centauri system, the Allied forces held their positions. On the bridge of the Invictus, Admiral Miller and Fleet Admiral Davies watched the enemy approach. "They're confident," Davies observed. "They should be," Miller replied. "By any conventional measure, we're outmatched." "Good thing we don't fight conventionally," Davies said with a slight smile. He opened a channel to the entire Allied fleet. "All ships execute Operation Thunderbolt." Across the system, the trap was sprung. Dark energy disruptors activated, creating zones where Confederation ships suddenly lost faster-than-light capabilities. Simultaneously, the radiation from Proxima Centauri itself was amplified by devices the Solarians had provided, creating sensor blindness in the Confederation fleet. In the confusion, the smaller, more agile ships of the Alliance struck with precision. Earth vessels, using tactics that contradicted standard military doctrine, attacked from unexpected vectors. Ships from the Free Worlds used their intimate knowledge of Confederation vessel weaknesses to devastating effect. The Battle of Proxima Centauri had begun, and despite being outnumbered, the Allied fleet seized the initial advantage. As the massive Confederation formation broke apart in confusion, a message was transmitted to General Cyrax's flagship. It came from Admiral Miller himself. "You should have left us alone." The Battle of Proxima Centauri lasted 27 hours. When it ended, the once mighty Confederation Armada lay in ruins. Of the 400 warships that had entered the system, less than 100 managed to retreat. The massive dreadnought Eternal Dominion drifted powerless, its weapon systems destroyed and its engines dead. On the bridge of the Earth carrier Invictus, Fleet Admiral Sam Davies watched as boarding parties secured the enemy flagship. General Cyrax, Supreme Commander of the Confederation forces, was taken prisoner, the highest-ranking Confederation official ever captured. "I still can't believe we won," said Captain Judy Chen, who stood beside Davies. Her ship, the Defiance, had led the final assault on the enemy command vessel. "Not just one," Davies replied. "We changed everything." News of the Confederation's devastating defeat spread across the galaxy, at the speed of quantum communications. On dozens of worlds, populations that had lived under Confederation rule for generations rose up against their oppressors. The 7 Dobry, founding species for the first time in 12,000 years, faced the real possibility of losing their grip on power. 3 days after the battle, Admiral John Miller met with the captured General Cyrax. The Vorax commander, once proud and confident, now sat in restraints, his scaled skin dull with defeat. "You realize what you've done?" Cyrax asked, his voice a low hiss. 12 millennia of order destroyed in less than a year." "Your order," Miller replied, "built on the subjugation of other species." Cyrax made a gesture that the translation matrix identified as dismissive. They needed guidance, structure. Without the Confederation, the galaxy will descend into chaos. Perhaps. Or perhaps something better will emerge. Back on Earth, the United Earth Council met to determine next steps. The chamber was filled not just with human representatives but also delegates from the Free Worlds Alliance. "We have a unique opportunity," said Council President Carlos Reyes. "The Confederation is weakened but not destroyed. We must decide, do we press for total victory or offer terms?" Chief Defense Strategist Olivia Warren presented the military assessment. "We could continue the offensive. With our allies, we now have the strength to strike at the Confederation core worlds, but it would mean more bloodshed, more destruction." The Nelvari ambassador spoke next. "For countless generations, my people have lived under Confederation dominance. The desire for vengeance is strong, but what we truly seek is freedom, not retribution." Similar sentiments were expressed by other alliance members. They wanted liberation, not conquest. Meanwhile, Dr. Lisa Peterson made contact with something extraordinary. Working with Solarian scientists, she established communication with one of the ancient species that predated the Confederation. Beings, called the Archivists, who had hidden themselves away for 15,000 years. The Archivist representative appeared as a shimmering, translucent figure in the holographic chamber. Its form shifted constantly like flowing water. "We have watched your conflict with interest," the Archivist said, its voice resonating strangely. "Few species have successfully challenged the Seven in all these millennia." "Why did you never intervene?" Lisa asked. "It was not our place. After our own great war with the precursors of the Seven, we chose observation over intervention. But now, the patterns shift. A new balance emerges." The Archivist offered no military aid, but something potentially more valuable: access to knowledge, and technology far beyond even what the Confederation possessed. With this new development, Earth and its allies formulated a plan. Rather than continuing the war, they would force the Confederation to the negotiating table. A defensive perimeter would be established, spanning 100 light-years around Earth and its allies. Any Confederation military vessel crossing this boundary would be considered an act of war. As preparations for peace talks began, Professor Alan Wright and Dr. Kevin Russell worked together on a new project, an interstellar gate network that would connect Earth with its allies. "This will change everything," Russell said as they finalized the designs. "Travel between allied worlds in minutes instead of weeks. And more importantly," Wright added, "it can't be used by hostile forces. The gates will only respond to authorized ships." 1 month after the Battle of Proxima Centauri, representatives from Earth, the Free Worlds Alliance, the Solarian Republic, and the Confederation gathered on a neutral space station. It was the most significant diplomatic meeting in galactic history. Miller, now promoted to Grand Admiral, led the Earth delegation. Fleet Admiral Davies commanded the military escort. Olivia Warren and Lisa Peterson rounded out the team. The Confederation sent a diminished delegation. The once arrogant representatives of the Seven species now faced a new reality where their dominance was no longer assured. "We propose a new order," Miller stated as the talks began. "Not one based on subjugation, but on mutual respect and cooperation." "The Confederation has maintained stability for 12,000 years, objected the Krell representative. "Would you throw that away for untested ideals?" "Your stability came at the cost of freedom for countless beings," responded the Nelvari ambassador. "That price is too high." For 3 days, the negotiations continued. The Confederation representatives fought to maintain as much of their former power as possible. The Alliance delegation stood firm. On the 4th day, a new player entered the talks. An archivist appeared, startling the Confederation representatives who had believed the ancient species extinct. "The cycle turns," the archivist stated. "As it did when the Seven rose, as it does now as they fall. The question is not whether change comes, but what form it takes." The presence of the ancient being shifted the dynamic of the negotiations. The Confederation, realizing how completely the balance of power had changed, became more conciliatory. By the seventh day, a framework was established. The Confederation would recognize the independence of Earth and the free worlds. A demilitarized zone would separate their territories. Trade would be permitted but regulated, and a council with representatives from all species would be formed to resolve future disputes. As the formal signing ceremony began, a Vorax counselor approached Admiral Miller privately. "How did you do it?" he asked. "How did a single species, only just achieving interstellar travel, manage to defeat an empire that has stood for millennia?" Miller considered the question. "You made a fundamental error," he said finally. "You attacked us, believing we would submit out of fear or rationality. But humans don't react to threats by surrendering. We unite. We innovate. We fight harder." The Vorax made a gesture of acknowledgement. "A costly lesson. One you do well to remember," Miller replied. "Earth desires peace. But we are prepared for war. Attack again and be annihilated. That is our first, last, and only warning to the galaxy." After the signing ceremony, Miller stood with Davies, Warren, and Peterson, looking out at the stars through the station's viewport. "So what now?" asked Davies. "Now comes the hard part," Miller said. "Building something better than what came before. For a species that was only supposed to be managed and harvested, we didn't do too badly," Peterson remarked with a smile. Olivia Warren nodded toward the viewport and the galaxy beyond. "They had no idea what they were dealing with when they attacked us." "No," Miller agreed. "But they do now. And so does every other species in the galaxy." Beyond the viewport, Earth ships prepared to return home. But they would not be alone. Vessels from a dozen allied worlds would accompany them, beginning an era of cooperation that would reshape galactic civilization. Humanity had entered the galactic stage as intended victims. They emerged as leaders of a new order, one based not on domination, but on the radical idea that all sentient beings deserved freedom. And if that idea needed defending, Earth stood ready. The massive alien ship hung in Earth's orbit like a silver teardrop frozen in time. Captain Elijah Winters stood at the observation deck of the USS Defender, humanity's first purpose-built diplomatic vessel. His palms were sweaty despite the climate-controlled environment. "They're bigger than we expected," he said quietly. Dr. Olivia Martinez nodded beside him, her dark eyes fixed on the alien craft. 23 species in their coalition, according to their transmission, and we're about to meet them all. Last 6 months had been a whirlwind since the first signal arrived from deep space. An invitation, or so it seemed, from something calling itself the Galactic Coalition. Humanity had dreamed of this moment for centuries, and now Captain Winters and Dr. Martinez were the tip of the spear. "Incoming transmission," said the communications officer. "They're ready for us to dock." Elijah turned to his crew. "Remember your training. Be respectful but represent Earth with pride. We've earned our place among the stars." The docking sequence went smoothly. Too smoothly, Elijah thought. The alien technology guided their ship with a precision that made Earth's best systems seem clumsy. As the airlock cycled, Dr. Martinez checked her translator device once more. "Ready?" she asked. "As I'll ever be," replied Elijah with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. The door slid open to reveal 3 beings, unlike anything human eyes had seen before. The central figure stood nearly 7 feet tall with bluish skin that seemed to shimmer in the light. It had 4 arms and eyes that blinked sideways. "Welcome," it said, the translator converting its clicks and whistles. "I am Ambassador Tilnax of the Galactic Coalition. We are pleased to welcome Earth to the greater community of spacefaring peoples." Elijah stepped forward and bowed slightly. "On behalf of Earth, we thank you for this historic opportunity. I am Captain Elijah Winters, and this is our Chief Diplomatic Advisor, Dr. Olivia Martinez." The alien's eyes blinked sideways again. "How quaint. You still use military rankings to lead your diplomatic missions?" Elijah felt his smile stiffen. "Our ship requires a captain, Ambassador. I was chosen for both my command and diplomatic experience." Of course," The alien waved two of its hands dismissively. Please follow us to the reception area. The other representatives are eager to meet Earth's delegates. As they walked through the massive ship, Olivia leaned close to Elijah. Did you catch that tone? Quaint? I did, he whispered. Stay sharp. The reception area was a massive dome filled with various aliens. Some looked nearly human, while others defied description. Floating light globes changed colors slowly, casting the room in shifting hues. A small greenish being approached them, moving on what looked like tentacles. Humans at last. I've studied your broadcasts. Such an interesting primitive development path. Dr. Martinez smiled politely. We prefer developing to primitive, but thank you for your interest in our culture. Yes, semantics, the alien responded. Tell me, have you managed to extend your brief lifespans yet? 70 orbits around your star seems hardly enough time to learn anything useful. Before Olivia could respond, another alien joined them. This one had pale, almost translucent skin, and 3 eyes arranged in a triangle. Don't mind Grell talk. Not all of us see younger species as curiosities. It extended what appeared to be a hand. I am Vexaloran, science delegate. Elijah shook the offered appendage, noting its cool, firm grip. Thank you for the welcome. We're eager to learn from the Coalition. And we from you, said Vexaloran. Earth occupies a most interesting strategic position. Your solar system has abundant resources that would benefit many in our alliance. Olivia caught the slight hesitation. We look forward to fair trade. Negotiations once formal relations are established. Trade? Oh yes, trade. Vexaloran's 3 eyes blinked in sequence. Most certainly. Throughout the reception, Elijah and Olivia were introduced to dozens of different species. Each interaction left Elijah feeling slightly more uneasy. The aliens were polite, even friendly, but something felt off. They were being studied, assessed. During a moment of relative quiet, Ambassador Tilnax approached with a tall, thin alien with skin like polished obsidian. Captain Winters, please meet High Commander Zexval, military liaison to the Coalition Council. The black-skinned alien nodded curtly. Your species has achieved spaceflight rather quickly. Most take another 1,000 years after discovering atomic energy. We're motivated learners, said Elijah. And we've had our share of challenges that pushed our development. Indeed, your world wars make for interesting historical study. Such efficiency at eliminating your own kind. The alien's face was unreadable. Yet you survived. We did more than survive, Olivia interjected. We learned from our mistakes. Did you? Asked Zexval. Fascinating claim. As the reception continued, Olivia found herself speaking with a smaller alien who introduced itself as a cultural anthropologist. The conversation was pleasant until the alien asked an unexpected question. Your neural processing speed. Is it typical for your species or are you enhanced? Olivia blinked in surprise. I'm not enhanced. Why do you ask? You respond so quickly. Most species take time to process new information before responding. Before she could ask for clarification, the alien was called away. Later, as they were being shown to quarters prepared for them on the alien vessel, Elijah pulled Olivia aside. Something isn't right, he whispered. Did you hear the way they keep referring to Earth's resources? Olivia nodded, and they seem fixated on how quickly we think and speak. One of them asked if I was enhanced because I didn't pause long enough between sentences. Stay alert. I'm going to see if I can. Elijah stopped as a small service. Alien approached them with refreshments. After it left, they continued to their assigned rooms. The accommodations were luxurious, if slightly odd in proportions. Sleep well, Dr. Martinez, Elijah said formally, aware they were likely being monitored. You too, Captain. Inside his room, Elijah searched carefully for surveillance devices, but found nothing he could identify as such. The alien technology was too unfamiliar. He lay on the too-soft bed, staring at the ceiling. His communication device vibrated gently. A message from Earth's Secretary General. First impressions? Elijah chose his words carefully. Friendly hosts, very interested in our resources and strategic position. Recommend caution in negotiations. He was about to try sleeping when he heard voices in the corridor outside his room. Pressing his ear to the door, he could just make out Ambassador Tilnax speaking with someone. Primitive, but the location is perfect. A second voice responded. Their reaction times are concerning, much faster than projected. The extraction timeline may need adjustment. They have no idea what's coming. Their technology is barely space-worthy. Do not underestimate them. Remember the Zentari. The Zentari were different. These humans are naive. They actually believe we're inviting them to join as equals. The voices faded as the speakers moved down the corridor. Elijah stepped back from the door, his heart pounding. Extraction, not equals. The words echoed in his mind as the truth became clear. This wasn't a diplomatic mission. It was a reconnaissance for invasion. He needed to warn Earth immediately. Lieutenant Noah Griffin moved silently through the dimly lit corridors of the alien ship. His cybernetic eye, hidden beneath a natural-looking prosthetic, scanned for security measures invisible to normal human sight. Earth intelligence had insisted on placing at least one operative on the diplomatic mission, and now Elijah was glad they had. I'm approaching the central data hub, Noah whispered into his subvocal communicator. Any change in alien patrol patterns? Negative. Elijah's voice came through the tiny earpiece. You have 6 minutes before the next security sweep. Back on Earth, Senator Patricia Coleman sat in the underground command center beneath Washington, D.C., watching the mission unfold through Noah's hidden camera feed. Around her, military officers and government officials monitored communications from the USS Defender. I don't like this, she said to the room. Captain Winter's report about overhearing their plans for extraction confirms our worst fears. General, Alan Wright nodded grimly. The warning from Colony Epsilon makes more sense now. They claimed the coalition approached them the same way 3 years ago. Friendly at first, then stripped their planet of resources within months. On the alien ship, Noah reached what appeared to be a data terminal. He connected a small device to its surface, and complex alien symbols began flooding his cybernetic eyes display. I'm in, he whispered. Downloading their database now. Noah's heart raced as images and text scrolled rapidly across his vision. Most was unintelligible, but the translation software embedded in his cybernetic implant began converting. Key phrases. Captain, I'm seeing tactical assessments of Earth's defenses. They've been scanning us extensively. Noah paused as new information appeared. There's something else. Reports about human neural processing speeds compared to other species. They seem concerned. Elaborate, Elijah said quietly from his quarters. According to their studies, humans think and react nearly twice as fast as the average coalition species. They're calling it an evolutionary anomaly that makes us potentially dangerous. In her room, Dr. Martinez was conducting her own investigation. As a xenobiologist, she had been granted access to the coalition's biological database for cultural exchange purposes. What she found disturbed her deeply. Captain, she said into her communicator, the coalition has enslaved or absorbed at least 6 other developing civilizations in the past century. They classify species into categories: partners, protectorates, or resources. Let me guess where we fall, Elijah responded bitterly. Resources, Olivia confirmed. But there's something odd. They've flagged humanity for special observation due to our neural architecture. On the bridge of the Defender, Communications Officer Ryan Foster intercepted a transmission from the alien ship to the Coalition fleet hiding beyond Neptune. Sir, they're communicating with reinforcements. I can only decode parts of it, but they're requesting something called suppression protocols and harvesting equipment. Elijah's face hardened. Send word to Earth. Operation Watchful Eye is now in effect. Back on Earth, Senator Coleman received the coded message. Without hesitation, she turned to General Wright. Activate the planetary defense grid, all of it. Ma'am, the aliens will detect the power surge, an advisor warned. Good, Coleman replied. It's time they knew we're not as helpless as they think. On the coalition ship, Security Chief Zoxavera was reviewing footage of the human delegates. Something about them made her scales itch with unease. They moved too quickly, responded too fast. Most new species were overwhelmed when meeting the coalition, but these humans seemed to be analyzing everything. Zoxavara approached Ambassador Tilnax in his private chambers. "The humans are behaving oddly," she reported. "Their neural responses are faster than our profile suggested. The one called Martinez asked questions about our propulsion systems that suggest advanced knowledge." Tilnax dismissed her concerns with a wave of his upper arms. "They are clever animals, nothing more. Their planet is rich with minerals we need. The Council has already approved the extraction plan. And if they resist, their weapons are primitive. Their most advanced ships would be no match for even our scout vessels." As they spoke, alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. Zoxavara rushed to a nearby console. "Energy surge detected from Earth. They're activating some kind of planetary defense system." Tilnax's eyes widened. "Impossible. Our intelligence indicated they had nothing beyond basic orbital platforms. On Earth, massive hidden installations hummed to life. In deserts, beneath oceans, and embedded in mountain ranges, weapon systems that had been developed in secret for decades powered up. Earth had been preparing for this possibility since the first radio signals from space were detected. Lieutenant Griffin, still in the data hub, saw the ship's systems go into high alert. He quickly downloaded the last of the files and prepared to retreat. "Captain, my cover's about to be blown. You need to get Dr. Martinez and return to the Defender immediately." Elijah was already moving. "Meet us at docking port 3. And Noah, bring everything you found." In the diplomatic quarters, Elijah knocked urgently on Olivia's door. When she opened it, he spoke quietly but firmly. "We're leaving. Now." She nodded. "Already packed." "I was expecting this. Did they detect our defense?" "Grid activation?" "Yes, and we need to be gone before they decide to make us permanent guests." As they hurried toward the docking port, they rounded a corner and came face to face with Zoxavara and 2 guards. "Leaving so soon, Captain Winters?" the alien security chief asked, her hand hovering near what appeared to be a weapon. Elijah straightened, his back. "We've received orders to return to Earth for consultation. Your ship's sudden shift to alert status concerns our government." Zoxavara's eyes narrowed. "A curious coincidence, as your planet just activated weapons we were told did not exist. Perhaps there's been a misunderstanding," Olivia interjected smoothly. "Earth regularly conducts defense drills. We should have informed you earlier." The tension in the corridor was thick enough to cut. Zoxavara studied them for a long moment, her alien features unreadable. "You may return to your vessel," she finally said. "Ambassador Tilnax will contact your leaders directly for clarification." As they walked away, Olivia whispered, "She knows." "Yes," Elijah replied quietly, "but she's smart enough to want more information before making a move." At the docking port they found Noah waiting, his face tense. Together, they boarded the Defender and immediately began undocking procedures. "Get us out of here, maximum safe." "Speed," Elijah ordered as he reached the bridge. As the Earthship pulled away from the massive alien vessel, communications chimed. "Incoming transmission from Ambassador Tilnax," Ryan reported. On screen, the ambassador's face appeared, his earlier friendly demeanor replaced with cold calculation. "Captain Winters, this hasty departure seems provocative. Perhaps you should remain as our guests while we clear up this misunderstanding with your leaders." Elijah met the alien's gaze steadily. "Thank you for your hospitality, Ambassador, but we have our orders. We look forward to continuing our discussions once we've consulted with Earth's leadership." "Of course," Tilnax replied with a thin smile. "Be advised that our fleet will be moving closer to Earth to facilitate better communications. Purely as a gesture of friendship." The transmission ended and Elijah turned to his crew. "They're going to follow us. Get everything Lieutenant Griffin downloaded to Earth immediately and prepare for emergency maneuvers if they try to stop us." Crunkh. The Defender accelerated toward Earth. Noah connected his data device to the ship's systems. "Captain, you need to see this," he said urgently. "I found their invasion plans. They're not just after resources. They want to use humans as labor. Our faster neural processing makes us ideal for certain tasks." Elijah's jaw tightened. "How long until their fleet arrives?" 3 days at most," Noah replied. "Then we have 3 days to prepare Earth for a fight," Elijah said grimly, "and to show these off-worlders exactly why they shouldn't underestimate humanity's speed." Admiral Victoria Hayes stood in Earth's Central Defense Command, her eyes fixed on the massive display showing the approaching coalition fleet. 2 days had passed since the USS Defender returned with its alarming news. Now, 27 alien ships were moving into position around Earth's orbit. "They're not even trying to hide their numbers anymore," she said to the room of military and government officials. "They want us to feel overwhelmed." Senator Coleman nodded grimly. "Captain Winter's team delivered crucial intelligence. At least we know what we're facing now." On a different screen, scientists and engineers worked frantically to analyze the alien technology data that Lieutenant Griffin had stolen. Among them was Daniel Carter, a civilian programmer who had been recruited for his exceptional skill in breaking complex codes. "Admiral," Daniel called out, his voice tense with excitement. "I found something in the communication devices they gave us. There's hidden surveillance programming embedded in the translation software." Victoria walked over to his workstation. "Can you disable it without alerting them?" Daniel smiled slightly. "Better. I can feed it false information while using it to spy on their communications." Across the room, Captain Winters and Dr. Martinez were briefing the Joint Chiefs on coalition biology and tactics. "Their neural processing is significantly slower than ours," Olivia explained. "What we perceive as normal conversation speed, they experience as unusually fast. This gives us an advantage in reaction time." "But their technology is far superior," Elijah added. "Their weapon systems, shields, and propulsion outclass ours by at least a century." Admiral Hayes joined them. "Then we don't fight on their terms. We've been preparing for this possibility for decades. It's time to activate Project Blink." In space, the coalition fleet settled into formation. On the command ship, Grand Commander Krell had arrived to personally oversee what he expected to be a quick subjugation of Earth. The massive reptilian alien towered over Ambassador Tilnax. "Your diplomatic approach has failed," Krell said coldly. "The humans know our intentions now. We must move to direct action." "They're still primitive," Tilnax argued. "Their ships lack quantum shielding. Their weapons are based on crude projectiles and chemical explosives." Krell's scaled face remained impassive. "Yet they managed to hide a planetary defense system. From our scans and your security chief reports, their neural speed gives them tactical advantages. I will not underestimate them." "What do you propose?" asked Tilnax. "A demonstration of power followed by terms of surrender. If they resist, we begin resource extraction anyway, with or without their cooperation." Back on Earth, Daniel Carter worked through his third straight night, fueled by coffee and determination. His screens displayed alien code that he was gradually deciphering. "This can't be right," he muttered, double-checking his findings. He grabbed his phone and called Admiral Hayes directly. "Admiral, I found something critical. The Coalition's quantum shields. They're not as advanced as they appear. They have a cycle pattern, a fraction of a second where they're vulnerable." Victoria arrived at his lab within minutes. "Explain." Daniel pointed to his simulations. "Their shield technology uses a phased approach, cycling between different energy states. There's a gap of approximately 0.3 seconds between cycles. Not much time, but enough if you know exactly when it's coming." Victoria finished his thought. "Can you predict the cycle?" Daniel nodded. "With the data we have, yes, each ship has a slightly different pattern, but they all follow the same basic algorithm." "This changes everything," Victoria said, already reaching for her secure phone. "Get this information to weapons development immediately." In orbit, the Coalition fleet began its intimidation display. Their massive ships arranged themselves in a pattern visible from Earth's surface, engines glowing ominously. Grand Commander Krell opened communications with Earth's leaders. "People of Earth," his translated voice boomed across emergency channels worldwide. "Your planet has been selected for incorporation into the Galactic Coalition. Your resources will serve the greater galactic community, and your people will be relocated as needed. Resistance is both futile and unnecessary. Accept your place, and your transition will be peaceful. In the Defense Command Center, Senator Coleman stood before the communication screen, her face resolute. Grand Commander, we appreciate your offer, but Earth is not interested in the kind of relationship you propose. We prefer to maintain our independence. Krell's alien features tightened. Independence is not an option being offered. You have 24 of your hours to reconsider. After that, we will begin the process with or without your cooperation. When the transmission ended, Coleman turned to Admiral Hayes. Are we ready? Not quite, Victoria replied. We need more time to implement Carter's findings into our weapons systems. Then we'll buy time, Senator Coleman said. The diplomatic way. She opened a secure line to Captain Winters. Elijah, we need you back in space. Take a diplomatic vessel and request face-to-face negotiations with Krell. Stall them by any means necessary. While Elijah prepared for his mission, Earth's military forces mobilized in secret. Hidden bases around the world activated experimental weapon systems developed from decades of research into recovered alien technology. Project Blink, named for its emphasis on speed and surprise, was finally being deployed. Admiral Hayes reviewed the plan with her officers. The coalition expects us to be slow and predictable. Their entire strategy relies on our technological inferiority. But they've overlooked our greatest advantage, human reaction time and adaptability. She pointed to a display showing the coalition fleet. When Captain Winters signals that negotiations have failed, we launch Operation Don't Blink. Every ship in their fleet will be targeted simultaneously, based on their specific shield cycle patterns. Lieutenant Griffin, now back on Earth, studied the tactical display. What about their superior firepower? Even with the shield vulnerability, they could still overwhelm us. That's where this comes in, Victoria said, bringing up schematics for a device labeled micro-jump drive. We've had this technology for 15 years, developed from salvaged alien tech. It allows short-range spatial jumps, not far enough for interstellar travel but perfect for combat maneuvers. Our ships can appear and disappear faster than their sensors can track. In space, Captain Winters and Dr. Martinez approached the Coalition command ship in a small diplomatic vessel. As they docked, Elijah sent a coded message back to Earth. Beginning final negotiation attempt. Countdown initiated. Grand Commander Krell welcomed them with cold formality. Your return is unexpected, Captain. Has Earth reconsidered its position? We wish to discuss alternatives, Elijah replied smoothly. Senator Coleman believes we can find a mutual arrangement that benefits both our peoples without requiring Earth subjugation. Krell gestured them toward a conference room. There is nothing to discuss. Your planet will serve the Coalition. The only variable is how much resistance you offer before accepting this reality. As they walked, Olivia noticed increased activity among the alien crew. Are your forces preparing for something, Commander? She asked innocently. Merely standard procedures, Krell replied. Though I should inform you that we've dispatched resource assessment teams to your planet's surface. Already. They are surveying potential extraction sites. Elijah felt his blood run cold but maintained his diplomatic facade. He subtly activated the transmitter in his pocket, sending the coded phrase back to Earth. They've already landed. Combat authorization confirmed. Admiral Hayes received the message and immediately gave the order. All units, Operation Don't Blink is go. I repeat, Don't Blink is go. Across Earth, concealed defense systems powered up. In orbit, small stealth vessels that had been disguised as space debris suddenly activated. And deep in the lunar shadow, Earth's experimental combat fleet revealed itself, micro-jump drives warming up. The battle for Earth was about to begin. Major Samantha Rodriguez crouched in the shadows of the Coalition command ship's maintenance tunnel. Her elite squad of 6 operators moved silently behind her, their special suits designed to mask both heat signatures and movement sounds. The mission was simple but critical. Sabotage the alien flagship's engines and communication systems, while Earth launched its main offensive. 30 seconds to synchronization, she whispered into her throat mic. Remember, move only during shield. Cycle gaps. Across the vessel, similar teams had infiltrated 5 other key coalition ships. They had boarded during the diplomatic docking, hidden inside cargo containers that coalition scanners registered as empty. Another advantage of human ingenuity, the ability to fool alien technology with relatively simple countermeasures. On the flagship's bridge, Captain Winters and Dr. Martinez continued their negotiations with Grand Commander Krell, stalling for time. Surely you understand that forced relocation of billions of humans would cause unnecessary suffering, Olivia argued calmly. Our species functions best when allowed self-determination. Krell made a sound that the translator interpreted as exasperation. Your concern for comfort is noted but irrelevant. The coalition requires your planet's resources and your species' neural capabilities. You will adapt. A junior officer approached Krell and whispered something in their native language. The commander's posture stiffened noticeably. Captain Winters, Krell said coldly, our sensors detect unusual energy readings from Earth and lunar orbit. Explain. Before Elijah could answer, alarms blared throughout the ship. The lighting shifted to a pulsing red glow. What is the meaning of this? Krell demanded, rising to his full intimidating height. The ship's main view screen activated automatically, showing multiple small Earth vessels suddenly appearing near coalition ships. They would vanish and reappear in different positions, faster than the alien targeting systems could lock on. Multiple unknown vessels detected, called an alien officer. They're using some form of short-range teleportation. Krell turned furiously to Elijah and Olivia. This is your doing. Guards, secure. These humans. As alien security personnel moved toward them, the ship shuddered violently. Emergency lights flashed as power fluctuated throughout the vessel. In the engine room, Major Rodriguez's team had just placed their explosive devices precisely where Dr. Morris, the weapons specialist, had indicated. The precisely timed detonations wouldn't destroy the ship, but would disable its main propulsion and weapons systems. Charges set, Samantha confirmed over the secure channel. 30 seconds to detonation, moving to extraction point. Back on Earth, Admiral Hayes monitored the space battle from the command center. Earth's smaller but more agile vessels executed lightning-fast micro-jumps, appearing just as the coalition ship's shields cycled to their vulnerable phase, firing precisely calibrated weapons, then disappearing before the aliens could return. Fire. Status report, Victoria commanded. Coalition fleet is in disarray, reported her tactical officer. Their formation is breaking up. Our boarding teams report successful sabotage of 6 primary vessels, including their command ship. And the ground incursions? Local forces have engaged alien survey teams in 17 locations. The coalition troops weren't expecting resistance. We're driving them back. Dr. Benjamin Morris, the scientist responsible for adapting alien technology into Earth's defense systems, pointed to a display showing real-time shield analysis. Their ships are attempting to modify their shield cycles, but we're keeping pace with the changes. The algorithm Daniel discovered lets us predict each adjustment. On the coalition command ship, chaos reigned. Elijah and Olivia had been taken to a secure holding area when the first explosions rocked the vessel. Power systems failed in sections and artificial gravity fluctuated wildly. This wasn't exactly how I planned our exit, Elijah said quietly as they huddled in a corner of their cell. Olivia smiled slightly. At least the plan is working. Listen to them, they're panicking. Outside their cell, alien crew members rushed past, shouting orders in their native language that the damaged translation systems couldn't process. Suddenly the door slid open, revealing Major Rodriguez in her tactical gear. Captain Doctor, your ride is waiting, she said with a quick smile. We need to move now. As they hurried through the damaged corridors, they encountered a coalition officer who appeared different from the others. Instead of panicking, he was calmly directing crew members to safety. When he saw the humans, he froze momentarily. You fight unexpectedly, he said in broken English without a translator. Not like any species we know. We're full of surprises, Samantha replied, weapon raised. The alien officer, His uniform indicated he was Sub-Commander Elzar, made a gesture that might have been respect. "Go. I seek only to save crew." Samantha hesitated, then nodded, and led her group past. In Earth orbit, the battle had turned decisively. Coalition vessels, designed for overwhelming force against inferior technology, found themselves outmaneuvered by Earth ships that refused to stay in one place long enough to be targeted. The micro-jump drives, combined with precise knowledge of shield vulnerabilities, negated the aliens' technological advantage. On his damaged flagship, Grand Commander Krell watched in disbelief as his fleet was systematically disabled. Not destroyed, the humans were deliberately avoiding destruction when possible, but rendered combat ineffective with surgical precision. "Impossible," he muttered. Their technology was primitive just days ago. Security Chief Zaxvara, who had survived the sabotage of the engine section, joined him on the bridge. "I warned that they were dangerous. Their neural speed gives them advantages we didn't account for. We still have overwhelming firepower," Krell insisted. "Order all ships to fire simultaneously at their population centers. They cannot jump their entire planet away." Zaxvara hesitated. "Commander, most of our weapon systems are offline or compromised, and Earth has revealed defensive capabilities we never detected." As if to emphasize her point, the view screen showed Earth's previously hidden orbital defense platforms activating. Hundreds of satellites that had appeared to be communication relays or weather monitors suddenly revealed weapon systems. "Retreat," Krell finally ordered, his voice hollow with defeat. "Regroup at the outer system boundary." As the damaged coalition fleet struggled to withdraw, Major Rodriguez's team and their rescued diplomats reached the human shuttle they had hidden aboard the flagship. They launched during the confusion, micro-jumping to safety as soon as they cleared the docking bay. Back at Earth Command, cheers erupted as reports confirmed the coalition fleet was retreating. Admiral Hayes raised her hand for quiet. "This isn't over," she warned. "They'll be back with reinforcements. But we've bought time and shown them we're not easy prey." Senator Coleman nodded in agreement. "And we've captured significant alien technology intact. Dr. Morris, how quickly can we integrate their advancements into our systems?" "With what we've learned today, weeks, not years," Benjamin replied confidently. As Earth celebrated its first victory against the coalition, Sub-Commander Elzar watched the planet recede from a viewport on his damaged vessel. Unlike his superiors, he understood what had happened. The coalition had made a fundamental error. They had judged human technology without understanding human thinking. "They don't blink," he murmured in his native language. "They see the gap between moments that we miss." For the first time in centuries, the mighty galactic coalition had been forced to retreat. And for Elzar, an unsettling question formed. What would these humans do next? 3 weeks passed since Earth's surprising victory over the coalition fleet. President Laura Chen stood at the window of the Oval Office, looking up at the night sky where Earth's newly expanded defense fleet patrolled. Dr. Morris and his team had worked day and night to incorporate captured alien technology into humanity's ships and weapons. "Madam President," her aide announced, "General Washington has arrived with the daily security briefing." General Frank Washington entered, his uniform crisp despite the late hour. He carried a tablet with the latest intelligence reports. "Our deep space monitors have detected a new coalition fleet," he reported without preamble, "much larger than before. They'll reach our solar system in approximately 18 hours. Laura nodded calmly. "Are we ready?" "As ready as we can be," Frank replied. "Admiral Hayes has positioned our forces according to the strategy we discussed. The blink drive upgrades have been installed on all primary vessels. And our special guest? Ambassador Tilnax remains in secure diplomatic quarters. He's been cooperative, providing valuable insights into coalition protocols and hierarchy. The ambassador had been captured during the chaos of the battle when his escape pod malfunctioned. As the highest-ranking coalition official in human custody, he'd become an important source of information. I think it's time I spoke with him. Directly, Laura decided. In a comfortable but secure room at the Pentagon, Ambassador Tilnax sat reading human literature on a tablet. He looked up as President Chen entered with General Washington. Madam President, he said, rising and bowing slightly. This is an unexpected honor. Ambassador, Laura acknowledged. I believe you know why I'm here. Tilnax's 4 arms moved, in a gesture of resignation. The Coalition Council has sent a punitive fleet. They do not accept defeat easily. Neither do we, Laura replied. But I would prefer to avoid further bloodshed if possible. The alien studied her face with his sideways blinking eyes. You've surprised us, humans. Your neural speed is remarkable, but your restraint is even more so. You could have destroyed our vessels, yet you chose to disable them. We're not interested in destruction for its own sake, Laura explained. We want peaceful relations with galactic civilizations, but as equals, not as subjects. The Council will never accept that, Tilnax said. They've spent centuries expanding the Coalition through subjugation or alliance. No developing world has ever forced them to retreat. Until now, General Washington added quietly. In deep space, the massive Coalition armada approached Earth. At its center was the imposing flagship carrying Council Elder Voxthal, the highest authority in the Coalition government. The ancient alien had personally taken command after news of the defeat reached Coalition headquarters. Show me the battle records again, Voxthal commanded. His subordinates immediately projected the footage of Earth's surprising defense. These micro-jumps, he mused, watching Earth's ships appear and disappear with incredible precision. How did they develop such technology so quickly? Sub-Commander Elzar, who had been summoned to provide first-hand testimony, cleared his throat. Elder, I believe they've had this capability for some time. They concealed it along with their other defenses until they needed it. Deception, Voxthal said, almost admiringly. And these humans, their neural processing is truly as fast as reported? Faster, Elzar confirmed. In the time it takes us to assess a tactical situation, they've already acted. They don't hesitate. The Elder turned to his tactical officers. Adjust our approach, we will not underestimate them again. Back on Earth, Admiral Hayes gathered with the military leadership in the command center beneath the Pentagon. Captain Winters and Dr. Martinez had joined them, along with Major Rodriguez and Lieutenant Griffin. The Coalition fleet is twice the size of the previous one, Victoria announced, but we've prepared a few surprises of our own. On the main display, she showed the newly upgraded Earth fleet, now equipped with modified versions of Coalition technology. Thanks to Dr. Morris and his team, our shields now operate on a random cycle pattern that their weapons can't predict, and our new jump drives have extended range and faster recharge. What about the civilian population? Olivia asked. Shelters are fully stocked and prepared, Senator Coleman assured her, but we hope they won't be needed. President Chen entered the command center with General Washington and, surprisingly, Ambassador Tilnax. The ambassador has agreed to help us attempt communication with the approaching fleet, Laura explained. One last chance for peace before we commit to battle. Tilnax stepped forward. I do this not as a traitor to my people, but because I've come to respect yours. Humans fight differently than any species we've encountered, with restraint and precision rather than overwhelming force. The Coalition should learn from you, not destroy you. As the Coalition armada entered the solar system, they were met by a single Earth vessel, the USS Defender, now upgraded with alien technology. On its bridge stood Captain Winters, Dr. Martinez, and Ambassador Tilnax. Opening communication channel, Elijah announced, transmitting Ambassador Tilnax's diplomatic codes. The view screen activated, showing Council Elder Voxthal's ancient, weathered face. His expression registered surprise at seeing Tilnax. Ambassador, the Elder said coldly, I did not expect to find you alive, much less cooperating with these humans. Elder Voxthal, Tilnax replied formally. I respectfully request that you hear Earth's proposal before taking further action. Proposal? The Elder seemed amused. We do not negotiate with primitive worlds. Captain Winters stepped forward. With respect, Elder, we demonstrated 3 weeks ago that Earth is anything but primitive. We could have destroyed your fleet, we chose not to. A mistake you will not have the opportunity to repeat, Voxthal replied. Before you commit to battle, Elijah continued calmly, I suggest you scan the space around your fleet. Voxthal signaled to his officers, who performed the scan. Their expressions changed from confidence to concern. 200 Earth vessels, the tactical officer reported. They've surrounded our formation using their jump technology. We didn't detect their approach. And now, Elijah added, please scan Earth's orbital defenses. The scan revealed thousands of weapons platforms, far more than had been activated during the previous battle. For the first time, uncertainty crossed Voxthal's ancient face. You've been preparing for us. For decades, Elijah confirmed. Since we first detected signals from space, Earth has always known we weren't alone, and we've always prepared for both peace and war. Dr. Martinez stepped forward. Elder Voxthal, Earth doesn't want conflict. We propose a different kind of relationship with the Coalition, one of mutual respect and fair exchange. Why should we agree to your terms? The Elder demanded. Because, Tilnax answered, these humans think faster than us, adapt quicker than us, and fight smarter than us. They could destroy this fleet, but they're offering peace instead. That alone deserves consideration. A tense silence filled both bridges as Voxthal considered. Finally, he spoke. I will meet with Earth's leaders. No guarantees are made, but I will listen. 24 hours later, in a neutral space station positioned between Earth and the Coalition fleet, President Chen and Elder Voxthal signed the first treaty between Earth and the Galactic Coalition. Earth would join the Coalition not as a subject world, but as a full member with equal rights. As the Earth delegation prepared to return home, Subcommander Elzar approached Captain Winters. Your people have changed everything, he said quietly. The Coalition has never encountered a species that could stand against us. We don't want to stand against you, Elijah replied. We want to stand with you as equals. 1 month later, the first official Earth embassy opened on the Coalition capital world. Above its entrance, a sign displayed text in both human and Coalition languages. Welcome to Earth's embassy. We move quickly here. Don't blink or you'll miss us.